Dominic Thorne. I have seen all of the first 3 episodes of Ironheart. How did this even come about?
Ironheart was introduced in 2025 as Marvel's attempt to fill the void left by Iron Man. The character, a teenage genius from Chicago, appears only a few minutes into the movie already equipped with a fully combat-ready armored suit, powered by solar energy and rechargeable batteries, with no explanation of how she gained the skills to create it. Fans questioned why Riri was inheriting Iron Man's mantle so quickly, after being introduced only briefly in earlier appearances. Although the narrative frames her as Stark's successor, she has no real connection to him, not through training, shared values, or motivation, and she repeatedly points out that she is not a billionaire.
Do you think Tony Stark would be Tony Stark if he wasn't a billionaire?
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave! With a box of scrap!
In Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Riri is a brilliant MIT student who invents a vibranium detector, inadvertently triggering the conflict between Wakanda and the underwater kingdom of Talokan, led by Namor. But instead of following the sleek, action-heavy path associated with Iron Man,
Thank you for saving me. Don't waste it.
the show shifted tone immediately. It mixed gritty depictions of Chicago's streets with supernatural elements such as the inclusion of Mephisto, creating a genre clash that confused audiences. The series also combined a coming-of-age drama with political statements on race and identity. Critics describe this as bold experimentation, but many longtime Marvel fans labeled it pandering and unfocused. Audience reaction confirmed the divide. Critic scores stayed near 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, while audience scores fell below 35%.
It still has right now on IMDb a 3.7 out of 10. That's like Snow White level bad.
Online discussions accused Marvel of sidelining legacy characters in favor of what they perceived as identity-driven replacements. Even Anthony Ramos, who portrayed the villain known as the Hood, acknowledged the criticism publicly, commenting that at least people were talking about the show. In the end, Ironheart became a key example of how identity politics and tonal clashes led fans to disengage, with many abandoning the series entirely after the opening episodes. She-Hulk: Attorney at Law. Released in 2022, She-Hulk: Attorney at Law quickly became the focal point of Marvel's woke controversy. The premise was straightforward. Jennifer Walters, cousin of Bruce Banner, gains Hulk powers and balances her legal career with her new identity. However, instead of a superhero action series, the show leaned heavily into sitcom structure with fourth wall breaks, dating app storylines, and explicit feminist commentary.
It will get called emotional or difficult.
Courtroom drama, expected to be central, was often sidelined in favor of meta humor and cultural critique.
I just want to make sure that you don't think this is one of those cameo every week type of shows.
The most infamous scene featured She-Hulk twerking alongside musician Megan Thee Stallion. This moment generated viral memes, but also strong backlash, with many fans interpreting it as Marvel no longer taking its audience seriously. Rotten Tomatoes reflected this split. Critics rated the show at around 77%, while audience scores plummeted into the 30s. Fans criticized the inconsistent CGI, the lack of real stakes, and the finale's narrative choice to abandon standard plot resolution. In the last episode, Jennifer breaks the fourth wall to confront Kevin, a fictionalized AI representing Marvel Studios,
Kevin?
It stands for knowledge and
You're the
rewriting her story in a meta-joke rather than defeating a villain. For many viewers, this represented the abandonment of superhero storytelling in favor of mocking its own fanbase. The show became a central example of Marvel prioritizing cultural messaging and commentary over delivering the traditional superhero experience, driving large segments of the audience to disengage. Captain Marvel. Released in 2019, Captain Marvel was Marvel's first female-led superhero film, positioned as a milestone before the release of Avengers: Endgame. The story followed Carol Danvers discovering her past and rising to become one of the MCU's most powerful heroes. While financially successful, grossing over $1 billion worldwide, the film generated one of the earliest and strongest woke backlashes in Marvel history. Critics highlighted Brie Larson's performance as stoic and controlled, but many fans perceived her as wooden or aloof. Carol's character arc was also criticized for lacking struggle. She began powerful and only grew stronger, which some argued removed the sense of growth that defined earlier heroes like Tony Stark or Steve Rogers. Online debates intensified when Larson made public comments about diversity in film criticism.
Highest grossing movies in 2017 were white males.
which detractors used to frame both the actress and the film as politically driven rather than story-focused. The controversy bled into audience reaction. Rotten Tomatoes scores reflected the split. Critic ratings stayed high, but audience scores dropped sharply after release. Many fans accused Marvel of forcing Carol into the franchise as a replacement for established heroes, without giving her the nuanced development audiences expected. Despite its financial triumph, Captain Marvel became one of the most divisive MCU films, with critics celebrating its cultural significance, while many fans saw it as Marvel's first major step into agenda-driven storytelling. Thor: Love and Thunder. Directed by Taika Waititi, Thor: Love and Thunder followed Thor after Avengers Endgame, but instead of leaning into epic mythological storytelling, the film took on a campy comedic tone. Much of the controversy centered on Jane Foster's transformation into Mighty Thor, wielding Mjolnir after being diagnosed with cancer. While intended as a powerful legacy moment, many fans felt the film used Thor primarily as comic relief, while Jane carried the dramatic weight. The tone became a key issue. Jokes interrupted serious moments, leaving emotional arcs undercut by slapstick humor. Even Gore the God Butcher, played by Christian Bale, was seen as wasted potential, with his menacing story overshadowed by constant comedic beats. For audiences hoping for a darker, more dramatic Thor entry, the result felt dismissive. The backlash also carried a cultural angle. Online criticism focused on Marvel sidelining the original Thor in favor of a female successor, continuing a pattern already visible in Hawkeye, She-Hulk, and Ms. Marvel. Fans accused Marvel of replacing rather than evolving its core heroes. Rotten Tomatoes critic scores hovered in the 60s, but audience reactions were much more negative, with many describing it as parody rather than a superhero film. While the movie grossed over $760 million, it was considered a disappointment for a major Marvel tentpole and reinforced concerns that Phase 4 was prioritizing humor, representation, and legacy passing over serious storytelling. For many longtime fans, Thor: Love and Thunder marked the point where Marvel's tone and priorities pushed them out of theaters entirely. Loki. When Loki premiered in 2021, anticipation was high for a multiverse adventure centered on one of Marvel's most popular characters. The show quickly complicated expectations. It revealed Loki as canonically gender fluid, a detail drawn from comics but one that sparked debate online. The larger controversy arose with the introduction of Sylvie,
Would-be princesses?
A bit of both.
a female Loki variant who increasingly took narrative precedence. By the finale, it was Sylvie, not Loki, who made the critical choice to kill He Who Remains, shaping the multiverse's future.
What do I do?
Who are you to decide we can't die fighting?
Loki himself was left largely passive, reacting rather than driving events. Fans split sharply in response. Some appreciated the bold expansion of lore and character identity. Others argued that the title character had been sidelined in his own series, diminished to comic relief while Sylvie carried the plot. Audience commentary online often labeled the series as a feminist rewrite, disguised as cosmic storytelling. Pacing was another issue. Episodes swung between quirky humor, dense exposition, and bureaucratic aesthetics from the time variance authority that many found tedious. Critics remained overwhelmingly positive, with reviews sitting above 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, but the fanbase's reception was less consistent. Many longtime viewers questioned whether the show was truly about Loki at all, or simply a setup for Marvel's next story arc. This disconnection left some audiences disengaged, frustrated that Marvel had once again introduced representation-driven twists while undercutting the character fans had come to see. Ms. Marvel. Premiered in 2022, Ms. Marvel was Marvel's first series centered on a Muslim teenage superhero. The story followed Kamala Khan, a Pakistani-American high school student from Jersey City, juggling family expectations, school life, and her sudden acquisition of cosmic powers. The show aimed to be a colorful coming-of-age tale infused with cultural authenticity, complete with vibrant visuals and youthful energy. However, many older MCU fans quickly tuned out. The style leaned heavily into teenage awkwardness, pop art overlays, and lighthearted tones that felt more like a Disney Channel production than a Marvel project. Representation was at the forefront, which critics applauded, but detractors saw as forced or identity-driven storytelling. Another major point of contention was the change to Kamala's powers. In the comics, she is a polymorphic hero who can stretch and reshape her body. In the show, her powers were rewritten as glowing hard light constructs. This deviation from source material upset purist fans, who felt Marvel was disregarding established lore. Reception numbers underscore the divide. Sites generally rated the show favorably, highlighting its cultural context and charm. Audience scores, however, fell into the 50% range, with many citing weak villains, low stakes, and an overly niche focus on family drama. Despite its intent to broaden Marvel's reach to younger audiences, Ms. Marvel became another flashpoint in the ongoing debate about whether the MCU was prioritizing diversity messaging at the expense of satisfying storytelling. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned and subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive, because next we're breaking down the ultimate forces of the universe with every powerful cosmic entity in Marvel explained. And remember to let us know in the comments which movie caught your attention.